Hey there, welcome back to Understanding Depression, your safe space to learn, reflect, and grow. I'm so glad you're here today because we're diving into a topic that's often misunderstood, yet deeply personal and socially important: how depression looks different for everyone. When we talk about mental health, we often assume it follows one script: sadness, isolation, maybe a lack of motivation. But what if I told you that these signs can look completely different depending on where you come from, how you were raised, or how you identify? Culture, gender, upbringing, all these elements shape not only how we experience depression, but also how we express it, or don't. Today, we'll explore how depression manifests differently across cultures, why some people might complain of stomach pain rather than sadness, or feel shame instead of numbness. We'll talk about the silent burden many men carry because of outdated ideas around masculinity. And most importantly, we'll discuss why sensitivity to someone's identity and background is key to truly supporting their mental health. This is a big one, so take a breath, stay mindful, and let's begin. Oh, and if this podcast has helped you or someone you care about, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Let's spread awareness, reduce stigma, and make these conversations part of everyday life. Let's start by talking about something that often surprises people. Depression doesn't always look like sadness. In fact, in many cultures, it doesn't even sound like it. In Western contexts, like the U.S. or Europe, depression is commonly described in emotional terms, things like feeling hopeless, empty, or tearful. Therapy often focuses on emotional expression, talking about feelings, and exploring internal experiences. But if you step into a different cultural setting, say in parts of Asia, Latin America, or the Middle East, that language shifts dramatically. In some of these cultures, mental health isn't always talked about openly, especially not in emotional terms. So instead of saying, "I feel depressed," someone might say, "My body feels heavy," or "I have a constant headache," or "My heart feels tight." This is called somatization, where emotional distress is expressed through physical symptoms, and it's not fake or made up. These physical sensations are very real, but they reflect a deeper internal pain that might be difficult, or even culturally inappropriate, to express emotionally. Why does this happen? In many cultures, expressing emotional vulnerability is seen as a weakness or even shameful. Some communities value stoicism, emotional restraint, or self-sacrifice. So someone might say they're tired or in pain, but they won't say they're overwhelmed or struggling emotionally. Now let's talk about something that affects millions of people around the world, but often goes unnoticed: how traditional masculinity can silence men's mental health struggles. From a young age, boys are often taught to man up, toughen up, or stop crying. The message is clear: being vulnerable is not masculine. Emotions like fear, sadness, or anxiety, those are seen as weaknesses, and over time, this creates a powerful and dangerous barrier to acknowledging mental health issues. Research consistently shows that men are less likely to seek help for depression, anxiety, or other emotional challenges. And it's not because they feel fine, it's because many have been conditioned to believe that reaching out for support makes them less of a man. Let's be real. These cultural norms don't just live in textbooks or the past. They're everywhere, from locker rooms and boardrooms to family dinners. A man expressing emotional pain might be dismissed with a joke, or told to just get over it. And in some cultures, admitting mental illness can be seen as dishonoring the family or showing personal failure. But here's the truth: men do get depressed. Men do feel lost. Men do cry when no one is watching. And when those emotions are buried, they don't disappear. They often show up in other forms: anger, irritability, substance abuse, even risky behavior or withdrawal from loved ones. This is why many men with depression don't look sad. Instead, they might seem moody, aggressive, or distant. And because these signs don't fit the typical image of depression, they often go unrecognized by others, and even by the men themselves. We need to shift the narrative. We need to make it okay for men to say, "I'm not okay." We need to create spaces where emotional honesty isn't just allowed, but respected. Because mental health isn't about being weak, it's about being human. Mental health isn't one size fits all. And when we ignore someone's cultural background, gender identity, ethnicity, or life experience, we risk doing more harm than good. Let's imagine two people walk into a therapist's office. One grew up in a tight-knit immigrant family where sacrifice and emotional strength were expected. The other identifies as non-binary and has faced years of invalidation and discrimination. They might both be dealing with depression, but their stories, their pain, and their needs are completely different. That's why a sensitive approach to mental health care isn't optional, it's essential. Culturally responsive care means more than just avoiding stereotypes. It means really listening. It means understanding that someone's worldview, values, and way of expressing distress may be completely different from yours or from what's written in a textbook. For example, someone from an indigenous background may view mental health through a spiritual or communal lens, rather than an individual psychological one. A refugee may carry trauma not just from their past, but from the daily stress of trying to survive in a new place. A Black teenager in a predominantly white school might deal with depression shaped by constant microaggressions and feelings of invisibility. And let's not forget LGBTQ+ individuals, who face unique mental health challenges due to stigma, rejection, or lack of safe spaces. Their symptoms might include deep isolation, anxiety about being found out, or internalized shame, things that a generic checklist might completely miss. The goal isn't to overcomplicate things, it's to humanize them. When mental health professionals take time to learn about a person's identity and background, treatment becomes not only more respectful, but more effective. People feel seen, they feel safe. And when people feel safe, they open up, they heal. We need to ask better questions, not just what's wrong with you, but what's happened to you? What do you need to feel supported? How does your world see mental health? These aren't just clinical questions, they're human ones. So now that we've explored all these layers, culture, gender, identity, what can we do with this knowledge? The answer is both simple and powerful. Start with awareness. Depression doesn't always show up in ways we expect. It doesn't wear a label or follow a single script. And the more we understand that, the more compassion we can offer to the people around us. Our friends, co-workers, family members, even strangers. Sometimes it's the quiet coworker who's always just tired. Sometimes it's the uncle who jokes too much and never opens up. Sometimes it's the teenager who's getting good grades but feeling invisible. When we understand how culture, gender roles, and background shape a person's experience of depression, we stop making assumptions and start listening more deeply. We stop judging and start asking, "Are you okay?" in a way that really means something. And this awareness isn't just for professionals or therapists. It belongs to all of us. Whether you're a teacher, a parent, a friend, a manager, you have the power to create spaces where people feel safe to be honest, to be heard, and to be human. So here's my invitation to you. Take what you will learn today and bring it into your world. Start conversations. Ask better questions. Challenge the old stereotypes. If someone opens up to you, believe them, support them, sit with them. And if you are the one who's been hiding your pain, please know this: your story matters. You matter. And you deserve support that sees you as a whole person, not just a diagnosis. Let's build a world where emotional honesty isn't a privilege, it's a norm. Where seeking help is respected, not shamed. Where diversity in mental health isn't seen as a complication, but as a reflection of real life. And if this episode spoke to you, please like, comment, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need it. Every time you do, you help break the silence for someone else. Let's make this conversation loudée, bravée, and more inclusive together.